sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal wéef nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jah Oil Company stands tall as a trusted name in energy, keeping the Gambia moving with service stations across the country and a commitment to innovation and reliability. In Farafenni, Jah Group is reshaping our industrial landscape. The Jah Oil Cement Factory can produce up to 100,000 bags a day, reducing imports, creating jobs, and building a stronger Gambia brick by brick. And in the heart of the Central River region, Jah Farming Initiative is cultivating food security. With thousands of hectares under development and modern irrigation, Jah Farming is turning the Gambia's soil into abundance. Jah Group is more than a company. It is a vision of self-sufficiency, resilience, and progress. The Jah Group of companies, investing in industry, agriculture, and energy, building the Gambia's future today.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With EcoBank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as EcoBank mobile app, EcoBank Online, and EcoBank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the EcoBank mobile app. Open the EcoBank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via EcoBank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to EcoBank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any EcoBank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
It's 9 minutes past 9 o'clock. Tuesday, the 12th of May 2026. It's coffee time with Peter Gomez. And joining us now is Honorable Lamin Jabbi, Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. His portfolio is one of the most forward-looking in government, touching on broadband expansion, e-government, digital ID, data protection, and ICT policy. And today, we set politics aside, even though he's a minister, to focus on how technology and digital transformation can reshape everyday life for Gambians. Minister Jabbi is visiting Coffee Time for the very first time. And this being your first time, before we dive into politics, Could you share with our audience how you see your role as Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, and what excites you most about the work you are doing for the Gambia and Gambians? But first and foremost, very good morning to you and welcome to Coffee Time.
Morning to you, Peter, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that at least now we've been able to align our schedules to have this very important discussions. Yes, as a Minister for Digital Economy, I think at this very moment, in the transitions that many nations are going through, the most important one is that of digitalization. Digital transformations are taking place in many parts of the world. Do we have an option? No. Is it one of the most important for a country like us? I think it is, because it impacts on almost everything. Whatever we do today, whatever you do today, whatever I do today, even our grandparents in those villages, whatever they do, they can't do without this technology. And we are there to develop it. We are there to create an economy that runs around these digital economy equations. So I think it's very important. It helps governments, it helps businesses, it also helps individuals in the way their living standards and everything almost goes up because they are using these very technologies. So yes, as a ministry, we know our responsibility, which is first to look at government's relationship within the government itself, government to government. You also look at government to businesses. You also look at government to citizens. So these three areas we are critically looking at, and we are also looking at as very important the infrastructure that we need, the divine services that we need to look at, the applications that we must really be careful to look at, as well as the current fintech technologies that are down there now. So we are doing a lot at the ministry. If I want to list it, I won't be able to finish it today. But I'm sure we, in the course of time, we'll be able to have time.
Absolutely. And what's your long-term vision for the Gambia's digital economy?
The vision is clear, and I've always said this. We want a cashless society. We want to create an economy for a very small population, small country, where almost everything, if we can get online, that's what we want. To save costs for government, to save costs for businesses, and to save costs for citizens in this country and other people. So the vision is, let's use these technologies to our advantage and make sure that we minimize the cost. We don't have much of the resources as a country, because without those resources now, the only resource so far that most of these countries that are really depending on the digital technologies, like the Gambia, is they are using these resources to make sure that they have a better living, they have a low-cost living, and this is the vision of the government, that we must make sure that whatever we do as a country, digital economic creation, that vision is the view, to making sure that everything that we do, we attack technology to it with some measurements, of course.
And how does the ministry plan to promote digital literacy so that ordinary Gambians can benefit from new technologies?
That's an everyday thing, digital literacy currently in the country. We already have some specific policy documents relating to how to promote digital literacy. But of course, this thing, starts at different levels. Yes. At the level of the government, you have to have the right policy, which is being worked on. At the level of the businesses, you really have to make sure that it's part of the business models that they are having. At the level of the citizens, that is citizens' engagement. Those are there that we do. We use different institutions to actually do that. We have both the University of the Gambia as well as our own regulator, PURA, which is having some specific responsibilities to really make sure that people become aware of what they are doing, of how they are utilizing these digital services and networks, and the applications that we are currently using. Everybody needs to know the impact of using those things, either on their own interests or on the economy or on the society at large.
Feel free to use the table for your hands, rest your elbows on it and all of that.
Thank you.
What is being done to protect Gambians from things like cybercrime and online fraud? Because for people like Peter Gomez, older, Gambians, for that matter, when you talk about, the digital space, digital banking, for instance.
Sure.
The first thing people think is, they will go there and steal all they will hack, into your, device and steal all your information.
I think that speaks to the broader picture. As far as cybercrime is concerned,
and online fraud. In fact, as of yesterday, we have just been validating the Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Policy. Mm-hmm. A component of this is cybersecurity, to making sure that the policy we are currently having protects people who are using these online services or also providing online services. Mm-hmm. In fact, within our own framework, you would be surprised that currently we have a cybercrime bill before the National Assembly, which I believe before the end of this year, it will become a law. Within that particular bill, every stakeholder is having a say in it, and every stakeholder is somehow protected once you are using those things. And we also have other institutions, the SAT institutions in the country, that are looking at how to protect people online, be it with the involvement of the police, the national security, PURA itself, and our own office, through policies, through regulations, and through some legislations that we are having. Of course, these are being enforced by special committees that we have in place at the level of the nation. Okay. And in terms of jobs, employment creation, what strategies are in place to ensure that the digital economy creates jobs for young Gambians?
I think this is a very important question, and I wouldn't want to give a chest-pounding response. But, Peter, let me go back slightly, with your permission.
Sure.
I think we could have done it better as a country. By 2004, we had what we call the Nikki policy. And that Nikki policy, the baseline is, what do we do to benefit people and to get employment? We need to get the right infrastructure. But above all, you have to have the right policy, legal and regulatory framework, supported by an infrastructure policy framework, supported by service policy framework. Then applications come. But in our case in the Gambia by 2004, maybe for reasons of resource constraints, we did not follow the Nikki policy the way we should have. In fact, we started wrongly by introducing liberalization before privatizing our own entity like Gamtel, for example. We just went in, exposed them to liberalization, introduced privatization. In fact, by doing that without commercializing that institution, we debase its own value in the process. And then from there, we've been doing a lot of firefighting. So currently what this government is doing, because that is now in the past, that Nikki policy could have been a better foundation for us. It's passed, followed by ICT for Development policy. That's also resource constraints is passed. Now we have this National Digital Economy Master Plan, which is now anchored on the IRUA, whatever, National Development Plan. What are we doing to make sure that we have employment? I think the first thing is we're looking at making sure that we entice foreign investors, the PPP models that we have introduced, so that our own entities in this country can partner with other private investors, either within the country or those that are coming in, to go in. Examples are there. We have gone in for Gamcell. We've gone in for Gamtel. We're doing a lot to make sure that people will maybe say that, no, but you are reducing the numbers. No, not at all. We are, in fact, trying to create more of that within the sector. And then more people are coming in to invest into the sector. So that investment, we make sure that one primary basis for any investment is what employment is it going to generate for the Gambians. Now, look at our own sector right now. Currently, the ICT sector is employing almost about 3,000 direct employment. You look at the Chew cells, you look at the AfriCells, you look at the Comiums, the NetPay, the iNet, the Unix solutions, almost all the ISPs, of course, Gamtel and Gamcell. Combined, they have almost about 3,000 staff that are directly employed. Yeah. But what about those who are using the fintech services? The microfinance institutions using the fintech services. You go to the GAN switch. You now go to even those who are providing value-added services using the information technology, equipment, tools, and softwares. That are many. So we try to make sure that we facilitate who is using those services to make sure that more of them are using those services. So we free the market, making sure that there is no restriction. So a lot is happening. I will not be able to give you the exact statistics as to how many people.
But you've given a very important statistic. Yes. At least 3,000 people directly employed.
Yes.
Now, if every ministry, every government department, every agency were to be able to come up with concrete figures as you have just done, maybe this 150,000 jobs in 5 years that people, keep, knocking the government about, maybe we would have put that to rest because we would have established that, 150,000 jobs indeed have been provided over the past few years. Actually, just to say well done.
Thank you.
For, giving us concrete figures. You mentioned Gamtel and what has been done for them. What specifically has been done for Gamtel? Because we're still getting complaints. People try to come on the radio to say, oh no, the agreement we signed and what's going on. They are like worlds apart. So what has been done for Gamtel? What has been done for Gamcel?
See, Peter, when I was appointed, what I found on the table and what we are currently doing are very different. What I found on the table was based on an advice given by a certain professional body that we can get rid of Gamcel and we can privatize Gamtel. But of course,
get rid of the GSM arm.
The GSM arm.
And then, strengthen the fixed line.
Exactly. Okay. That was under the consideration. But when I came in, my argument is simple. Even if you get rid of Gamcel as an entity,
yes,
the Gamtel that you want to stay would still need that mobile broadband thing because data and mobile, everything is just rolling out. People are rolling about. So Gamtel would still need that mobile arm or unit. So why would you want to get rid of this one? Now, the issue is because they are not performing well. Let's ask ourselves, why? If Gamtel and Gamcel are not performing well, we ask ourselves, the first question is maybe because we are partly to be blamed, should I say that? I mean, look at the governments before, what happened for the past 10, 20 years, we've seen.
Sure.
When Gamtel wants to initiate any particular project or product, it takes them minimum 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 1 year. If Afisel wants to do it or Comium or QCell, they just sign the thing. So procurement constraints were there.
Yeah.
Now you also look at, we use them as, places and units for employment. When actually there are 4 core functions should be to provide that particular service, utility service, communication service needed on commercial basis. So we are now changing that. To do those changes, first thing we did is we have to agree. You cannot have a unit out of 100 people, for example, the core staff providing the core service, maybe 10 or 15 of those staff are only responsible for that. The remaining are, excuse me for my language, maybe security. They were doing good job, by the way. But security, cleaners, maybe we could use them in a better way. Maybe because they were there, they were not adding much of the value for some, looking at the quantity as against what their input. So we decided that it's high time we really downsize, right size, and make it economically viable. To do that, in the past 3 or 6 months, we've been able to do much of that by making so that at least 642 staff of both Gamtel and Gamcel, they went home gladly, should I put it this way. Because if you want to apply the label or rules, you pay somebody 6 months for reorganization or whatever, and that salary of $10,000, $15,000 multiplied by 6 or even 1 year is less than $100,000. But none of them. There are people who went home with about 1.2 million, 800,000. Yes, there are people who went home with 500,000, 600,000. When in real life, you want to really pay them what the law asks us to pay, would be far less than 150,000.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think they can complain. And then, in fact, this was based on their own volition. They have consented. Nobody was forced to leave. We have it in 3 phases. First phase, voluntary. You come, is very attractive. Second phase, equally voluntary. You come, but at least there are some terms and conditions. So I believe they would not be complaining. In fact, people have been calling me personally to thank me for what they have been receiving. So this is where we are now. We have now reduced at least 642 staff are gone. Today, in those days, you would hear Gamtel salaries are not paid. In fact, they are going to government to pay their salaries. Ask them today. Call any of them. Whether their salaries now for the past 3 months or so, what's happening? A lot has changed.
You've cleared everything.
Completely.
Well, listen.
And we are not yet done, but we're still doing more.
You know, this is an opportunity. The Wolof said, Dahaganar was a sohla. I have a pending payment of more than 3 years.
With who?
With Gamcel.
Ask them. Go for them.
No, I come to
you. Okay. By the way, we'll look at that.
If I had 1.6 million,
yes,
I would invest it in a startup. So let me ask, what support is available for Gambian tech entrepreneurs and startups to thrive in the digital economy?
Okay, maybe they must have said this online or you come across it. I remember when I came in within the second month, I was looking at almost anything that we are trying to do, any procurement, we look outside the Gambia. I thought it is necessary to really look at our local content. What must Gambians, what can we provide? What can Gambians provide? What can be their contribution? Because you would see a number of the procurements by the government or even businesses, outsiders just come, get those contracts and go away with it. Because maybe the confidence we have in our own people. So the first thing I did is I make sure that I call for a special meeting with all the key stakeholders in this ecosystem, particularly software developers, application developers, and then those who are within that value chain, to make sure that I have them in one particular hotel. We had a whole day session there. I gave them the challenge. Tell me why were they not participating in most of these things? But of course they would answer, they would be treating them differently. So the policy is now shifting to making sure that we give priority to Gambian businesses. I'm not saying Gambians per se, but Gambian businesses. But preferably Gambians. If they can actually do it and deliver, that's what we want to do. And currently that there is a bill, with us that we are looking at to making sure that local content is protected and promoted.
And what's your definition of a Gambian business? A business founded in the Gambia, a business established in the Gambia, or a business owned by and operated by Gambians?
The three. The three. But in the order of preference, a business owned by, which is established by the Gambians in the Gambia, and they are operating it. That's one. Or a business that is registered in the Gambia, not necessarily owned by Gambians, but of course we know it is for the benefit of the Gambians. That also can benefit from it. Then the third preference would be maybe businesses outside there, but that can actually impact positively on the Gambians and be used by the Gambians. So in that particular order, yes, this is what we're looking at.
Well, when they are outside, you would think that they have, well, for whatever better expression, a slightly higher capacity than we have. Do you know of outside businesses interested in, investing in the digital economy locally here?
Oh, yes, many. In fact, when we wanted to sell some shares of Gamcel, because we do not want to sell Gamcel, but we can actually...
Okay, you don't want to sell off completely.
Not at all.
You want to retain
portions of it. So when we wanted to do that, many people out there, many businesses out there really expressed interest. Many. And in fact, up to about 8 or 9 from different countries that we know. But then at our own level, under the, would I use this word? At our own level, we have decided that, no, we need to give opportunity to the Gambian businesses. Because at the end of the day, this is what brings us to the key issue, my key interest. If you are building a digital economy, that economy you are building, it's all about finance, money. The money or the revenue that you generate, does it stay or does it leave? What percentage of the money that we are generating today is leaving this country Is that putting pressure on our dalasi and many other things? For that reason only, we think it is important we look at our local businesses, give them all the opportunities that they need, so that that capital flight, we can somehow, in a way, either eliminate it or reduce it. And if you give the opportunity to local, our local companies in the Gambia, we believe that they will do the business here. Whatever returns they get, they will again be able to reinvest it here. Even if they invest it outside there, it is money for the Gambia out there. But then imagine a situation where 100% foreign-owned company that's not even registered in the Gambia maybe, but it's just doing business here, taking millions out of the Gambia. Where are all those monies going to? Who is going to benefit from those monies? So these are things we have looked at, but of course these measures are protected by policy documents that we have already in place and some strategies that we have put in place at our ministry.
Fantastic. It's interesting that, when you floated, GAMCEL, a lot of interest was generated, overseas. Because very often you hear people say the GSM sector is oversaturated. So you'd have thought, if there were calls for interest in a GSM company in the Gambia, nobody would be interested who is not in the country already. Why do you think we are still attractive, to the outside world for GSM investment?
It is the dynamic nature of technology itself. Today, some of them would only be interested to come and provide infrastructure services. They don't need to compete. Today, some may just be interested to come and provide the services without the infrastructure by depending wholly on other infrastructure service providers. With now these plethora of application development, softwares and the like, fintech technologies, most of these companies, those who are interested, they just want to have a basis. Once you come in, you can do anything. So the value chain is so broad. You can look at the infrastructure side, infrastructure as service. You can look at the service itself. You are just going to be providing services to other service providers. You can also be looking at apps, applications, fintechs. For example, right now you can develop an application which can provide you banking service, insurance service, any other payment services, so long as it is integrated with our GAMS with payment system here in the Gambia. So these people who are interested to come and join in, they are not only looking at the GSM part alone, which is just voice or whatever data thing as GSM service providers. It's more than that. So there are more things in the sector that they really want to benefit from than the segment of the GSM provision only.